Hey everyone, how we doing today? This is James Sweeney, aka SplitSuit, and welcome back to another video. And as part of the Ask SplitSuit a Question series, a couple people did ask hand history questions, and this one actually came privately via YouTube. And Derek says, "Greetings, James. I have a hand I would like to share with you. I need to know if this was a good hero call in the long run, or if I was just being a payoff wizard." So this hand is from 10 No Limit Online. There is a limp, another limp, and here decides to raise to 3.5x from the big blind with ace-2 suited. And going back one tick, I want to say two quick things. One, I think we should top off, and I don't think we should be playing or starting a hand with 68 big blinds. It's a really, really awkward stack size, and unless you have a strategy that's specifically built for it, chances are I don't like it. And then, why are we raising here, right? What does a raise really accomplish? I think if we look at this hand, we have MP1 who open limped, and that's usually going to be someone that I don't think is going to be very strong, which means I assume they're probably going to limp call a very non-zero percentage of the time. The issue is that when they call, then the cutoff wants to call as well. So we're in a situation where we're probably getting one, if not two callers, and then we're going to find ourselves out of position with a very, very difficult hand to play. Rather than just, instead of raising, checking here, taking your free play, going forward, and using your edge post-flop, I don't really see raising being the best play here. So in this exact situation, we end up just getting called by the cutoff. So at this point, Derek says, "In an attempt to steal the blinds, I got called from the hijack. Since the hijack limped and called, I didn't think he had ace-king or ace-queen. I realized maybe I should have raised 4 big blinds instead of 3.5. Now my thing is here is whether we raise to 3.5 big blinds or 4, I think we're going to get called, at least by one person, a very, very large chunk of the time, which means we're going to be out of position with a really tough hand. So again, pre-flop I'm not really loving, and then even less so once I'm given Villain's HUD, and he has a VPIP of 55% over 22 hands with a fold versus c-bet of 50%. Now, over 22 hands, that fold versus c-bet is maybe 1 out of 2 or 2 out of 4, so that's not going to be the most meaningful stat by any stretch of the imagination. So as played, we end up getting called, go to this flop, and hero continuation bets for about 3/4. And my thing is here is I don't particularly love the continuation bet, and it's really because we have a fishy opponent who has position on us. The fold versus c-bet stat isn't useful given the sample size, and I don't really have any idea how I can double or triple barrel. Now that being said, I am going to pick up some turn cards that certainly do give me extra equity, any club, any 3, any 4, but the thing is are those going to be great cards to barrel on? I really don't know, right? And then what am I going to do on the rest of the deck? So the issue here is I think we put ourselves into a really bad spot more often than not. But again, this kind of led back to pre-flop and why I didn't particularly love the raise in the first place, because we know we're going to find ourselves out of position a lot. We know we're going to find ourselves missing the flop a lot. And why put ourselves into that situation knowingly? So I'm really not shocked when we get called, but on the turn we do end up improving, which makes life a little bit easier, and hero decides to go for the second bet. So once we improve, I'm definitely happy that we're continuation betting on the turn. I think we can definitely get looked up by second best hands, king x, 6x, 5x, pocket sevens, draws, all those kind of things. So I definitely like that we're continuation betting here. I think that the cutoff is going to make plenty enough mistakes, and we're just kind of go forward from there. He calls. River is a queen, hero decides to check, faces a bet, and hero decides to call. So Derek says, if you can provide some feedback, I would greatly appreciate it. So my feedback would actually be going back 2 ticks. So in this situation, I would bet the river again myself. Now, the queen isn't my favorite card in the world, and yes, it does improve a couple of hands, whatever, but more than not, it does create more pressure to hands like 6x, pocket sevens, those kind of things, and I don't really love that. But that being said, I think we can definitely get looked up by second best stuff. Queen X of spades could certainly call here, King X could definitely call here, and I'm not going to like shove. I don't think that shoving's going to get the job done, but I think if we bet like 2 or 2.25, something closer to like half-ish pot or even 40% pot, I think that we can get looked up by enough second best stuff. And it's just simply a function of this is a bad player. This is someone who can and will make second best calls. I mean, he limp called pre-flop, he called flop, he called turn. No reason to think he won't call again with a second best hand. And thus I'd really like to see a bet myself rather than check. And then all of a sudden when we face a bet, it's oftentimes for a price that we don't necessarily want to face. Usually going to be bigger than the 40% to 50% bet that I was talking about making myself. So it's one, bigger, and two, I really have less of an idea where I am. And that's obviously not necessarily the greatest thing in the world, rather than just betting and knowing that I'm printing value, rather than checking and really being super confused when I face that bet. So overall, it's difficult to say if you were a payoff wizard or not. My whole thing in this situation is, yes, we end up losing, and that is what it is, whatever. My major focus, though, is pre-flop, making sure that we're raising there with the correct range of hands. I don't really like this. I don't like this player type. I don't like the multi-way function of pre-flop. And then that flop continuation bet, a lot of players will just auto c-bet just simply because they have the lead. But there are situations and people who just won't allow you to c-bet profitably, especially without that double or triple barrel plan. And I'd say in this exact situation, yes, we caught a really great runoff, but I really think that we could have played the river a little bit better. And again, I think we definitely could have played the streets leading up to the river a little bit better as well, particularly pre-flop and the flop. So Derek, thanks for the great hand, and if you or anyone else has a poker-related hand or question, feel free to leave it on our Google Plus page. I'll leave a link for that in the description box. And also please make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying these types of videos. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. Otherwise, good luck out there, and happy grinding.